Hi everyone, welcome to the latest video Padrecast here with Fred, and we're going to be talking all about the Fight Night Champion demo, which released earlier this week. The demo came to 360 and PS3, 4 fighters in 3-round bouts, and also includes online play, head-to-head online play being the first time that's ever been included in a sports game demo. So that's pretty interesting to just get that and get to play online with the demo for the next 2 weeks. Fred, we talked about this a little bit. I think you've been more of a fan maybe of the Fight Night series over the years, and maybe that's just you have a little more interest in boxing than I do. But tell me about what we played. A lot of this. We played several fights, and then we played on our own against the CPU. Going in, what do you think of the demo in terms of perception? Where does it leave you now? As far as how you anticipate the game and what your expectations are.
I was kind of disappointed in the last game that they did, the last Fight Night. I don't know. I never really got into it as much as I did the others. And when I heard about this, I kind of just went in with the low expectations, looking for something different. I had been playing the UFC game. Now, granted, that's not boxing, but that's the next closest thing to sort of like a sport fighting game that I've played. Sure. And when I saw that the demo was releasing, I figured, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And then, like you said, the ability to play online, when you wrote that article, is something new. We really don't get a chance to try that kind of stuff out. So I was pretty excited about it just from that aspect. But like I told you when we were playing the demo, I'm still kind of on the fence about this game. It seems like I can throw a ton of punches, whether I'm using the buttons or the new analog system that they have, which I kind of enjoy. Right. I thought it was an improvement from the way I used to throw punches before. I'm still using the analog stick, but I don't know. I think I'm still just going to wait and see whether I'm going to buy this game or not, mainly because I could see myself getting bored of it. I have no intention at all of playing random people online with the way you're able to just throw punches constantly. I didn't mind playing you because we could keep it somewhat realistic. But I don't know. I think it's just way too easy to throw punches. I also ran into the problem where it seems like the hit physics isn't completely accurate, as you posted that video of me getting knocked out and the punch didn't even touch me. So I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on the game, on the demo, and I'm still not sure whether I'm going to buy it or not.
Yeah, it's interesting because the biggest factor in terms of marketing of this game has been the champion story mode, and that's why the game's M-rated. It's what their EA Sports is pushing, is this story mode to give it sort of the feel of boxing movies, but playing along through all the events. And this demo doesn't actually offer anything really to do with that, with the exception of a trailer, which isn't anything new. So for me, that story mode is still kind of the most compelling thing about this game. Is it the same for you? Is that sort of what you're kind of resting on right now as being the determining factor?
Well, what was that again? I'm sorry.
The story mode, like, is that basically what it comes down to now?
Yeah, for me, that's kind of what I was looking forward to. I've kind of been wrapped into that mode. I've never really been big on, kind of like the being your own guy and taking yourself through a career. But I really started getting into it with NBA 2K, and I really think that feature for me is probably what I'm most looking forward to about this game, and is really still keeping my interest in it to actually buy it.
Yeah, it's the same way for me. I mean, the typical career mode in a boxing game or in a fighting game tends not to really keep my interest. But the story mode can do that because it brings in totally different elements. But back kind of to gameplay, because that's what we mostly can analyze here. You mentioned you like the punch controls. I like the new full spectrum punch controls too on the analog stick, with the exception of it seems like I'm accidentally queuing up a whole bunch of punches when I try to just throw one. And even like when we were fighting, you'd be backing away from me. You'd be far out of range, and I'd still be throwing punches because apparently I accidentally queued up a few more when I hit the stick just one direction. I think that's a big problem with it for me. But then you also mentioned the stamina being one of the biggest issues with this game. And we don't know. We're not playing 12-round bouts here, but within the 3 rounds, even within just 1 round, stamina just regenerates too quickly, and we're not really seeing any of the effects there because we were throwing 100. We were trying to be conservative when we were throwing 100 punches around, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. I think online performance we actually got to test out because of the demo. How did you think that turned out in terms of not only just how smooth the experience was, but also how our head-to-head fights went?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was actually better than I expected. There was a hint of lag, but not enough that it ruined the experience. I did notice that a couple times I would press the button and then he wouldn't throw, and as I was moving back, then it would respond and throw a punch, So there was a little bit of lag, but not enough that it would ruin the gameplay experience for me. As far as the punches and all that, I'm still kind of not sure how the judges score. You and I were kind of talking, and I would say, "Oh man, I think you might have won that one, or won at least the second round." And then we go to the cards, and you lost all 3 rounds. So to me, I don't know if it's necessarily how much damage you did in that round, but how many punches you may have landed, because that's the only thing that I could tell that was pretty significant between our stats was the amount of punches that I actually landed versus how many you landed.
Yeah, I think there was a few instances where I'd landed more power punches and a higher percent, but you had landed more punches total, and so it gave it to you. It's really subjective thing, but you can usually feel the way things are going, and didn't necessarily just met up with what you saw. Graphics-wise, I think it obviously looks great. I think the frame rate, though, is maybe taking a slight hit because of that presentation. Lackluster, I'd say. Do you feel like we get to see ring entrances, to see the results at the end of the fight, where they didn't even read off the scores. It's just really kind of bland and simple. Presentation-wise, commentary. How do you feel about that and where they're going with this game?
I thought the commentary was pretty bland. Nothing really stood out to me. All that other stuff with the ring announcing and the ring girls, and that's all fluff, man. I mean, I eventually, after a while, I just start skipping through that stuff anyways. The graphics on it obviously are top notch, but I think that they've been that way all the time since these fight nights started coming out on the Xbox. They were always pretty good.
Yeah, the first fight night on the 360 was really what at the time it was probably the most impressive graphically of any game on the system, maybe even certainly sports game wise. A couple other things I should mention that I liked. I liked the new camera angle. I'm not sure what your opinion was on that, but I like it. Kind of moves in 360 degrees. I found that to be easier to work with. Also, just like a minor thing, I was working you into the ropes on a few instances,
right.
And I couldn't really able to make that a factor in the past. So I was Tyson, you were Ali. I was trying to get in close, and I'd back you into the ropes, and it actually felt effective, which I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Simplified blocking, just pulling the trigger and it kind of blocks for you. I like that. That's actually kind of a controversial one right now from what I've been reading in different places. People think it's too simple. People think it's too easy. I like the simplification of it. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just guessing anyway. If I'm trying to, should I block my body? There's not enough time, especially with how fast this game is. I can't even imagine trying to block specific parts of my body as you were throwing punches. I just don't think that would have worked. And then, I don't really like I felt too consistent punching the body because there's really no movement involved there. You're kind of frozen. And the one punch knockouts, knockdowns, I like that element. But again, like you said, we were seeing situations where I completely whiffed on a punch to knock you down, or it's like you practically clotheslined me and barely hit me with your glove, but kind of came up and like your bicep kind of took me out.
Yeah.
And I've also even seen a punch to the back of the head. It's all programming, but it just looks bad. Certainly when they show all those replays. Is there anything else that kind of stood out to you, positive or negative wise?
No, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it. There's only so much you can get from a demo. I don't want to completely say that I don't like this game or that I do like this game. The demo really hasn't done anything to sway me in either direction, really.
Yeah, one more thing I think we should talk about. So this game is M-rated. It's the first M-rated EA Sports game ever. And so along with that isn't just the champion story mode where they use a lot of M-rated elements and make that very adult and with a story that's real gritty. But um, there are other things seen here, and I think they kind of push the limits of what they could do because it's M-rated. Figuring, okay, we've got the M rating, we might as well just you know uh, take advantage of that and do whatever we want anywhere else. And so the two things that were noted in the demo were the music and the menus, the soundtrack, where it's uncensored. So that's really the first time that there's ever been that. And I got a lot of people actually, several. Sending me messages saying that kind of unsettled them, and then also the Ring Girls, where we were laughing about it. This isn't a real serious thing, but I just it was kind of uncomfortable and awkward. I just kind of describe it as tacky. The way that you watch the Ring Girls and it zoom in on particular body parts and linger there for an uncomfortable length of time. And we were joking because the camera, you could see like it did everything it could to avoid the face. Even when panning, it just like zoomed right by the face to get to somewhere else. So and so a lot of people in the comments and stuff, I mentioned this as just something, and so there's people who agree, and then there's of course people who disagree and think I'm being a wuss or something. I don't know, but I thought it was worth mentioning and see what you thought of that all.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff that they're talking about, I think it's just nitpicking. I read what you had wrote, and like I told you, I think the thing that stood out to me was that everyone just called you on talking about the ring girls and the music. And I think thing that made me laugh was that you got the approval of soccer moms now about that.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know, man. I'm more interested in gameplay than anything else. I know that the Fight Night community is a pretty passionate community.
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
You and I have dealt with that before, and I mean, nothing they say anymore really surprises me. So.
Yeah. So that's basically our thoughts on the demo here. The nice thing about EA putting out this demo, not only with online play, but that it's a month early, means that they can get to work on patches and tuner sets based on feedback from the community. So there's the strong potential that the game's actually going to play better in the retail version than it does in the demo, simply because of the feedback and tweaks that they can make on their end. So this could end up being a really valuable demo, not just for consumers getting the chance to try it out in a few different ways, but also for the impact it can have on the actual game. So thanks again to Fred for joining me here to talk about the Fight Night Champion demo, and we'll be back in the future with more Padrecast and video Padrecasts. Take care, everyone.